Ladies and gentlemen, my name's Mary Kostakidis. I'm chair of the Sydney Peace Foundation, and it's my great pleasure to welcome you here today on behalf of our coalition, Business for Millennium Development, World Vision, the Centre for Social Impact and the Sydney Peace Foundation, to this presentation with Nobel Laureate Professor Muhammad Yunus. Professor Muhammad Yunus has been invited to Australia by Business for Millennium Development with the generous support of AusAid. B4MD has been set up to connect Australian business with profitable opportunities that deliver poverty reduction outcomes in line with the Millennium Development goals in the Asia-Pacific region. Professor Yunus has a cracking schedule over 3 days in Sydney and Melbourne, here to harness the imagination of our business leaders, to inspire them to engage in social business models, innovative ventures that create sustainable opportunities capable of lifting entire communities out of poverty, inviting business leaders and politicians alike to consider what he calls the power of small. This is the one public event that's being held in Sydney, and there'll be one in Melbourne, for those of us that aren't in politics or business to engage with Professor Yunus. Professor Yunus will join us on the stage very shortly to speak to you for 30 minutes. After that, there'll be a Q&A session for 30 minutes, and I'd like to ask you, while you're formulating those questions in your mind, to please not formulate long preambles to them so that we can get as many questions as possible. After that, Professor Yunus has offered to stay for another 20 minutes for a photo opportunity, so those of you that would like to come up and meet him are welcome to do so. Now, this opportunity here today has been generated by a coalition of groups joining B4MD. World Vision, as you all know, a development agency committed to engaging those of us whom chance has favoured with those we have a responsibility to help. Travelling to Bangladesh many years ago with World Vision drove home to me the enormity of the need and the very little required to make a difference, a significant difference. World Vision have long recognised the benefit of connecting individuals. It's a lot easier to forget about people who don't have a face, and of the importance of building projects that are sustainable. The Centre for Social Impact is a partnership between the business schools of the University of New South Wales, Melbourne, WA and Swinburne University of Technology. Its mission is to educate tomorrow's social entrepreneurs and to strengthen today's social enterprises through teaching, research and public engagement. The Sydney Peace Foundation is based at the University of Sydney and awards Australia's only International Peace Prize. The foundation raises awareness of the importance of peace with justice by engaging adults and children in a variety of initiatives. Each year it awards the Sydney Peace Prize, and it's awarded to an individual who's made a significant contribution to upholding human rights and highlighting the central place of justice in a lasting peace. Muhammad Yunus was the inaugural recipient of the Sydney Peace Prize in 1998, and we were thrilled when the penny dropped. We were thrilled when the penny dropped in Oslo 8 years later. Muhammad Yunus was one of 9 children born in Chittagong in what was then India, now part of Bangladesh. He studied at Dhaka University, received a Fulbright scholarship to study economics at Vanderbilt University, where he received his PhD in economics. He subsequently taught at a US university and then went back to Bangladesh to head up the economics department at Chittagong University in 1972. Now, back home, much of what he had studied, all those theories and research, had nothing to do with the way of life and the struggle for existence. It was that mismatch between what he was taught and what he saw, he says, that prompted him to develop the notion of microcredit. He started by giving a few personal loans to a very small sums of money to destitute basket weavers in Bangladesh in the mid-70s, and soon after that started up what was to become the Grameen Bank. In 2006, when Yunus and his Grameen Bank won the Nobel, the bank had helped more than 6 million borrowers, mostly women. They are the main beneficiaries of these opportunities because it's women and children who are the main victims of poverty. In many places around the world, women face the most the most challenges: violence, AIDS, polygamy, and they're often left with the sole responsibility for care of their children. In awarding the prize, the Nobel Committee stated, "Lasting peace cannot be achieved unless large population groups find ways in which to break out of poverty. Microcredit is one such means." Microcredit has now grown into a global movement based on the premise that abolishing poverty is the human rights priority. And today, replicas of the Grameen Bank operate in more than 100 countries around the world where credit is made available to the poor on favourable terms. Yunus has developed his focus to ensure the poor are also beneficiaries of capitalism and of globalisation, inspiring business people to bring not only their money but also their skills and their expertise to solving social problems in what he calls social business. He's established businesses around telecommunications, around nutrition-fortified food, around water, around mosquito nets impregnated with chemicals to fight malaria, to mention but a few. Poverty is being seen increasingly as a human rights issue. During the National Human Rights Consultation on which I served last year, Australians identified the basic survival rights, economic and social rights, as the most important. The unmistakable message to the inquiry that without food, clean water, shelter and adequate level of healthcare, other human rights are meaningless. Chronic poverty is an entrapment that renders people utterly powerless. Perhaps the most powerless in our community are Indigenous communities. We're delighted that Mohammed Yunus has returned to engage us further on keys to unlocking solutions to global poverty. In a minute, he'll be up here in person, but first, here's 90 seconds of a documentary on his life.
Idea of development, prosperity coming from the West. From Asia, we want to bring another kind of development. Banking system is based on the principle, the more you have, the more you get. Poor people remain poor for all the time. You don't help them to get out. Grameen Bank lends out over $1 billion a year with tiny loans. We have 7.5 million borrowers. Help each other to stay afloat together. This can work any place.
When I first heard about everything, I couldn't believe it because I said, maybe in some other country, but this is the United States. It's not going to work here.
It's an unheard of concept. Bank which lends money, not to make money, but to help people.
It gives the banking support where one can't get support from the traditional banking system.
But in the United States, there's a different character, perhaps.
You never know unless you try.
My dream was to get me this big mixer, and I couldn't believe it when I got a check from Grameen that day. I was like, I got my mixer. I couldn't believe it.
The average person really don't have the money to go get a business plan, to go get contracts. It's expensive.
Poor people are poor because it's their fault. A lot of people believe that.
They do. But if you look at the poor people, they work very hard.
And this is what Grameen is doing. He is making them live their dream.
Discipline, unity, hard work will allow us to succeed. Discipline, unity, hard work will allow us to succeed.
What difference can your efforts possibly make? The truest test of a person's life is what we do for one another.
In a world where you need a dollar to catch a dollar, you need to have something to help the bottom people lift themselves up. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Well, I'm delighted to be here, and I owe this visit for several years now, because Sydney Peace Foundation kind of gave an idea to somebody else that they should be giving me a Peace Prize, because they thought, wow, Sydney Peace Foundation gave it, we should follow them. So that's kind of opened the door for me. I didn't realize that what was happening at that time. Now I know. So watch out who you give it next. Peace Prize, probably is in line. Make that. So I'm delighted because in the meantime, lots of things happen. So I'll not go into the details of all those things, but I'll give you a little bit brief so far as Microcredit is concerned, Grameen Bank is concerned, what is happening around us, and at the same time doing something else, which I'll be talking about. And Microcredit came as a kind of a defiant kind of action, that things people would not like to do. Somehow you're pushed into it, and you do it. You don't know whether it's going to happen, whether it's going to work or not, but you take a chance. And that's what I did. At that time, everybody said it was crazy. It's not going to work. And I didn't know anything about banking, so I didn't have to have any fear about it. So since I don't know anything, it's easy. Sometimes not knowing is a blessing. In this case, that's how it came out. And I was thinking something very kind of worrying for bankers. I said, we can do banking without collateral. You're almost challenging the whole structure of the banking system. So I did that, and luckily it worked. And that's what becoming bigger and bigger, and now it's a global phenomenon. Microcredit is well understood, well known, and it's moving. And at the same time now with the financial crisis, it raised a very fundamental question. Should we go along with the same kind of financial system we have, or this is about time to change it? Because it didn't work. And they were telling us that the poor people are not creditworthy. And guess who is not creditworthy now? So, these are advantage of not knowing. So you touched on something which nobody dares to say. And finally you found out that it's something remarkable. You just saw the film. This is actually a trailer of a movie. It's an 80-minute movie done in the USA. It was on the Sundance Film Festival. So this is a trailer of that movie. This was done on what we call Grameen America. It's in Jackson Heights in New York City. Everything you saw is a New York City, Jackson Heights. And we started in 2008, in January. We had no idea that the financial crisis is coming soon. We did it because people said it cannot be done in America because America is so different. I said, it's crazy. Anywhere it can be done. So in the meantime, I got so bold, I thought I can do anywhere. So they invited us. Why didn't you show us how you do it? So I sent somebody from Bangladesh. You saw him in the picture. You didn't recognize him. When I assigned him to go and start a program in New York City, he said, I never been to the United States. What would do there? I said, that's why we have chosen you, because you don't know anything about the United States. See? If you know, you will go the wrong way. So go, absolutely fresh mind. You do exactly what you do in the village of Bangladesh. Don't worry about anything else. If you have language problem, try to fix it up. Otherwise, you don't worry. Grameen Bank is your subject. You do it. Whatever you do is perfect. So he went and came out with a beautiful program. Right now, there are more than 2,000 borrowers in that program, all women. You saw some of them who bought a mixture, how excited she was. Average loan is $1,500. Imagine what $1,500 means to them. This is a full film. You see all the characters in all the... These are documentary. It's not made up stories or something. Somebody just sat in the corner with a camera, that's all. And now put together, it becomes such a moving film about life of the people, those who are borrowers. There's nothing else. So this is one, and one issue that I have been raising all along, when in the very early stage, I said credit should be accepted as a human right, because it's so fundamental, and banks don't pay any attention to it. And see what happens with that banking system today. And we are so impatient to get back to the normalcy again. And I keep telling, please, please, wait, don't try to get back to the normalcy. We don't want to go back to the normalcy. People got very shocked. Why didn't you want to go back to the normalcy? I said, we don't want to go back to the same normalcy where we're coming from. Because if you go in a hurry in the same normalcy, we are on the same track. We are just waiting for another big crisis, because it will only lead to the crisis, that's all. This is a good opportunity for us to redesign the whole system, so that we don't go back to the same old financial system, which just goes on merrily repeating the same thing over and over again, and create a fantasy world, a fantasy financial world. We don't want to go to the fantasy financial world. We want to create a financial world which works for all people in the world. Nobody is rejected from the system. So this is an opportunity. We should concentrate on that when we know what we are going to do, and we go to the normalcy, a new normalcy, with a new track, which will not get us to the same old time. And the second point I've always made about the poverty, I said, look, you're always looking at poverty, how poor people are, the income is missing, training is missing, education is missing, and so on. I said, you don't realize what poverty means. Poverty is the denial of all human rights, not just one human right. You name it, they don't have it. But we are not concerned. Imagine if one human right is violated in a country which draws a lot of attention. It may be freedom to speak or something like that, right to speak or so. Always the media gets excited, which is legitimately so. I said, how come we don't say a word about people who are missing out all the human rights? So that's how we got used to it. This human rights negation is okay. This one is important. Then there's no human rights left. When you start weighing human rights of one kind of people, human rights of another kind of people. So this is another issue that I bring it out to do that. And the third issue that comes in the microcredit part of it, people keep telling me that not all human beings are entrepreneurs. So you can only work with entrepreneurial poor if you want to bring the money in the microcredit. So you have to look for entrepreneurial poor. So I scratched my head. I said, I never looked for entrepreneurial poor. I just went ahead and gave loans to anybody who wanted it. If they didn't want it, I go and whisper in their ears, you need it. And in the beginning, actually, this is what's happening. When I started it, I started with a kind of promise that half the borrowers in my program must be women. Because I was fighting with all the conventional banks. They were saying, I was complaining against them that not even 1% of their borrowers are women. So something is rotten in the system, which rejects women like that. I said, I don't want to make that same mistake. I want to make sure half the borrowers are women. So I go to women. It's not easy to go to women for men in Bangladesh. So I take my girl student with me. They will go inside the house, talk to the women, because I'm not allowed inside the house. And they will explain. If they have difficulty in answering questions, they will come to me. I'm standing outside under the tree. I'll explain to them. They go inside. So this is how it all began. But the message that I keep getting every time, no, we don't need the money. I don't know what to do with the money. I never touched money in my life. Why didn't you give it to my husband? He's the one who's handling money. So my students got very frustrated. I'm insisting, and they're getting the same message over and over again and telling me that they're not interested. Then one time they said, why are you insisting giving money to the women? Because they don't want it. They don't know what to do with it. Why don't you give it to the men anyway? I said, look, when you hear a woman saying, I don't know how to handle money, I never touched money in my life, always remember this is not her voice. This is the voice of the history which created her. She was always told she's good for nothing. She brought misery to the family anyway, she being a woman. And she shouldn't do anything which will rock the boat. So she's always kind of withdrawing from everything. She doesn't want to create any wave anyway. So now you have money, you go there, you say, take the money, you start a business. You thought they will jump at the money, let's go ahead and make the money. No. Because centuries of history created this fear in her. So it takes time to take this fear layer by layer. So our job is to continue to go back to her and do that. Take the fear, layers and layers of fear out. So that someday one of these women will say, maybe I should try. And if she tries and she's successful, then all her neighbors will go, oh my God, it's possible. She did it. I can do it too. And the snowball effect will happen. It took us 6 years, finally, to come to that level of 50-50. But we never gave up. So when these people say that it's only the entrepreneurial poor who are good for microcredit, those not are the women who are entrepreneurial poor. They're pleading with us, don't give us money. We don't know what to do. We didn't give up. And sometimes a funny situation will come. As we enter the village from one direction, the women will run to the other directions. They are coming to give you money. So this is the kind of fun part of it, that when you hear about microcredit only works with the entrepreneurial poor. Anyway, to demonstrate what I did, I started giving loan 4 years back because I said, okay, come on, it comes back again and again. Let's finally get it over with. I started giving loans to beggars. I said, let's go to the beggars, exclusively to the beggars. And we go and talk to them, what they do, what their life is all about, how did she become a beggar in the first place, what was the tipping point, finally let her come to that point and had to stretch her hand. And from then on, she could never go back to this. When she was a housewife or something, taking care of the children. Finally, she remained a beggar. So after you go through all this learning process, then you propose to her, would you like to do something like this? As you go from house to house, carry some merchandise with you. Like cookies, candies, some toys for the kids. And we make it sound easy for her. We tell her, you are going there anyway for begging. So it's not an extra work for you. They like that. And they started taking money from us. And we said, this is a loan, you'll have to pay back. But don't worry about it. You go ahead and do that and give people option. Whether they want to give you in charity, some food, some money, or they would like to buy something from you. It's up to them to decide. But you have more options now. And somebody will give you charity, somebody will buy something from you, or somebody will do both, give you some charity and buy something from you. So either way, you are better off. They like that idea. We thought maybe we'll have about 2,000 or 3,000 beggars in the program. Guess what? We ended up with more than 100,000 beggars in that program. And then, it's an amazing thing. In the last 4 years, more than 19,000 beggars came out of begging completely. They became successful door-to-door salesperson. And remaining 90,000 or so, I would say they are part-time beggars. They're mixing begging and selling. And they're pretty smart. When you talk to them, they tell you they know which house is good for begging, which house is good for selling. And I tell my colleagues when I hear such a statement, I say, look, they didn't go to the Harvard Business School, but they understood the market segmentation very well. So, no problem. They understand that. So that is the entrepreneurial ability. So I believe that all human beings are entrepreneurs. Just you have to wait to that ability to open up. You blocked it out for generations. Suddenly you open it, you think it'll jump out of it. No. It takes time to come out and demonstrate what they can do. So today we have this microcredit. The Grameen Bank is grown. It's a big bank. It's with 8 million borrowers, 97% women, lending out over $100 million a month. loans averaging about $200. And all this money coming from its own system, we take the deposit and lend the money, so we don't need to go somewhere else to find the money. There's plenty of money inside. Then you see the women gradually moving up in the income ladder, and we send the children to school. Now we give education loans to the children so that they can go to higher education. Right now there are more than 50,000 children or students who are in medical schools, engineering schools, universities with educational loans from Grameen Bank. Soon probably you'll see one of them will be among you sitting here with a scholarship coming to study here. I've met two at least right now, who are studying in the USA, coming from totally illiterate poor families. Just an organization gave them a chance to study, and that changed everything. So you have a whole new generation. So when I go to the village, as I meet this woman who has been with Grameen Bank 15 years, 20 years, and she's happy to see me, and I'm happy to see her, and I see a young girl with her, and I know probably she must be her daughter because they look alike, exactly alike. And maybe she's now happy because her daughter helps her. So I tried to find out about her. I said, what do you do? And she said, I'm a medical doctor. I practice in the neighboring city. And I just came to visit the village because you are coming to visit our village. So I thought I'd meet you. I never met you before. And I feel very happy that her daughter is a medical doctor. Then I look at them. The mother and the daughter look alike. One is a medical doctor, and the other is a totally illiterate person. And then a thought flashes through your mind. Her mother could have been a doctor too. There's nothing wrong in her mother. Who made her a poor person? She's not the cause. Nobody gave her a chance. Her daughter got a little bit of chance. She moved up. So seeing this again and again, you come to the same conclusion again and again. Poverty is not created by the poor people. Poverty is created by the system that we built around us. All the things that we see around us, all these institutions, all the policies, all the concepts, that made poverty. And then we turn around and blame them. We created it, but we blame them. This is the fate. So I concentrate on all these issues, how to redesign institutions, and during this crisis period, I again tell this is a good time to redesign all those things so that we get rid of all those seeds of poverty that we planted in all those things. If we can take those seeds out, the world will be completely free from poverty. Every human being will be having a decent life for themselves because there's nothing lacking in them. Simply barriers were built by the system so that you cannot cross that barrier and you stay where you are. And I particularly focus on the concept of business. I said there is only one concept of business that we teach in our classrooms. We learn from our businesses around. When you are in business, you have to make money. The mission of business is the maximization of profit. That's what you do all the time. And you never question that. I questioned the collateral, and we created collateral-free banking. Now I'm questioning another one. It's a profit. Do we really have to have profit for ourselves to create business? I don't think so. We can create business for other reasons also. But the economic theory doesn't think so. The economists who designed that economic theory, where business means profit maximization, I think they misinterpreted human beings. They thought human beings are some kind of money-making machines. All they do in their life is make money. And they have no other objective in their life. But the real human beings are not robots. They are multidimensional, not one-dimensional. But the economics make you believe you are one-dimensional. So I refuse to accept that. I said, I'm a multidimensional human being. I have lots of other dimensions besides making money. I said, making money thing came because of our selfishness. As a human being, we are selfish because of self-protection. We need to protect ourselves. That's a very inherent quality in us. On the basis of that selfishness, we created a whole idea of business to make money. Everything is for me, nothing for others. That's the whole philosophy. I said, but we are selfless person too. This is as strong as selfishness. It's not a tiny bit, it's quite as strong in every human being. It's part of being a human being. We want to care for others. You can't take it away. If somebody is falling into a trap, we just catch him. If somebody is being in trouble, we go and help him out. This is natural, instinctive reaction. We do that. And we feel pleasure in doing that, helping other people. Why don't we use that selflessness in the business too? And I was proposing, why don't we create a different kind of business based on our selflessness, where the business will mean everything is for others, nothing for me. That will be a selfless business. And I'm calling it social business. In the beginning, people hear it, that they say, no, that's not possible. Why should people do such a crazy thing? I said, people do more crazy thing than that. They give away their money. Somebody gives hundreds of dollars, somebody gives thousands of dollars, some millions of dollars, some even give away billions of dollars. One person just give away billions of dollars. So if people can give away their money, what's wrong if I say, why don't they invest the money into a social business without expecting that money to bring them dividend, bring them profit for them? They are doing it for the cause. So social business is a cause-driven business. So we started creating those businesses in Bangladesh. And one of them is a Grameen Danone company, which became very popular. We produce yogurt to address the malnourished children of Bangladesh. Almost half the population, half the children of Bangladesh are malnourished. So we put all the micronutrients in the yogurt, vitamin, iron, zinc, iodine, and make it very cheap so that children can eat it. It's a delicious yogurt. And that is the kind of magic of Danone and their experience. If I had to make this yogurt, probably after we put all those iodine and that will taste terrible. Nobody will eat it. But what Danone has done, putting all those micronutrients into it, packed with it, but is delicious as ever. So children love it. So now it became a popular food for children. They would love to do that. If a child eats 2 cups of this yogurt within a week and does it for over 8 to 9 months, the child gets back all the micronutrients which are missing, and in the process becomes a healthy child. So that is the purpose of the company. And the investors in the company, Danone and Grameen, promised right away they will never take any dividend. That's not the purpose of the company. The purpose of the company is to see the children getting out of malnutrition. So in this kind of situation, we ask our CEO at the end of the year, how many children got out of malnutrition this year? Unlike profit-making company where you ask your CEO how much money we made this year. So the questions are different, process is different, and your thinking process is different. So we started doing that, and many other companies are coming to us to create social businesses, and some of them I'll just put names. Veolia Water Company, a French water company. We joined together to create a company called Grameen Veolia Water Company to bring clean water in the villages of Bangladesh as a social business. Company recovers the cost, so it continues. You don't need any charity, you don't have to go on fundraising to run that. It's a business, it runs by itself, and people have clean water. So Bangladesh has a serious problem of arsenic in our water. So millions of people drink poison every day. Their children drink poison every day. No solution. So we thought we can make the solution as a social business. We have a social business with BASF, it's a German company, chemical company, to produce mosquito net, treated mosquito nets. So that will be a social business. They don't want any profit. We don't want any profit. So this will be another one. We have a joint venture with Adidas the sportswear company, to produce shoes for the people of Bangladesh so that nobody has to go barefoot, make it very cheap, and with Adidas brand on top of it so that you know this is durable shoes. Otherwise, everybody say, hey, Adidas is a lousy company. So it's just shoes are falling apart. So they have to be very, very careful and has to be made very cheap. And one of the challenge I gave that in order to make it available to the poorest people, these should cost less than $1 a pair. So they are trying to come close to that, but there will be test marketing in next month in April to see whether people like it, people enjoy it. This is a health intervention because many of our diseases come from the skin of our feet, like hookworm is a terrible disease. A lot of parasitic diseases come. If the children and the adults and everybody is wearing shoes, then they will protect themselves from this kind of diseases. So this will keep them healthy. So you can create a large number of social businesses as you go. Wherever you see a problem, you bring your creative mind and design a business to take people out of that particular problem. It could be healthcare, it could be employment, it could be housing, it could be environment, it could be a problem like drug addiction, whatever. It only needs a creative mind and bring the technology into it and solve the problem. If we can bring all this technology and our creative ability, the human ability to be creative, none of these problems that we see around us will exist. They will disappear very fast. So all we have to do is to recognize this idea of social business and put it there. And I'm not saying everybody has to go and do social business. And if you want to, here is a possibility, here is a door for you. But today, that door doesn't exist. So only door exists, make money. So we are encouraging our children to make money. We ourselves make money. We don't know what else to do. So now there's two doors. You can take both doors. You can do social business, at the same time money-making business. So you make money from the money-making business and use your money to do social business and solve the problem of the world and bring your creativity alongside of it. So this is the way we can solve all the problems. So all things that looks absolutely impossible suddenly becomes possible. And we don't have to wait for the government to solve all those problems. We as an individual person, even as a young person, can figure it out. Design a social business. I don't have any money in my pocket, but I can design a beautiful social business and put it on the website. And somebody said, oh, this is a marvelous idea. Can I invest in your idea? So we become partners. I have the idea, somebody has the money, we go and create that. If it works, you found the solution for a problem in the whole world. If it may be a small program that you did, but you can now repeat it, replicate it, and solve the problem as you see it. So seeing your social business, I get excited, I get inspired, I create one, and seeing my social business, somebody else get inspired, and gradually we see all those problems we have been carrying around for generations didn't have to be like that. We can put an end to it, provided our thinking process is different, provided our architecture of the theory is different. After all these problems are created by those architectures that we have. If you fix the architecture, the problems will go. And that's the challenge that we have right now. Thank you very much. I'll stop here. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Well, Professor Yunus, thank you very much for talking to us about economics in a way that doesn't make it sound like gobbledygook, for showing us and the world, in fact, that there is a very different connection that can be made between economics, business, and human beings. Now, what we're going to do is invite you to ask Professor Yunus questions, and we're going to have a microphone in each of the three aisles. So those of you that would like to ask a question, please make your way to the microphones and we'll take them in order. So there'll be plenty of an opportunity. Okay. We might start at that end with you. Thank you.
Thanks, Professor. My name is Donnie McClurkin. In a world with serious biophysical limits to growth, how can any financially growth-based financial system, including microcredit, ever proves ultimately sustainable?
Again, we have to believe in human creativity. You said everything is limited. That means you are not relying on your unlimited capacity to solve your problems. Because everybody thought it's limited. The world will be over very soon. We have predictions that the overpopulation will take over the whole world. It will be gone, finished. It didn't. Many other predictions took place. So we, as a creative human being, we always find solutions. Today, what you're saying about resources, you don't know what other resources are waiting for us. So we keep on doing that. So it's possible. You don't have to be so kind of grim picture that the world is going to end. You don't have to feel that way.
Thank you.
Hi, my name's Nat Ware. I'm a student at Sydney University, and I'm looking at how to design a scheme to overcome issues of trust in relation to microinsurance. My question is, do you think microinsurance has the same potential as, say, microcredit to reduce poverty and increase human rights in developing countries? And if so, what do you think are the main obstacles to the growth of microinsurance?
So Grameen Bank itself has lots of microinsurance program built in. One is it's a loan insurance. It's a very popular insurance. Almost everybody has that insurance. It's built in within the system. If the borrower dies, no matter how much money she still has to pay back, the family doesn't have to pay back a penny because the whole amount is taken care of. The little insurance, he never even seen that insurance existed. It's such a tiny piece. So it's covered by that. They started talking several years back that can we add our husband into it? So we calculated, we said, okay, we'll add the husband also. So if the husband dies, woman is still alive, still in business, she doesn't have to pay back whatever the remaining amount she has to be paid back because husband died, so that money is waived off as a part of the insurance program. We have health insurance. We built a whole health insurance and works beautifully. A Grameen Bank borrower pays about $2.50 a year, and the whole family is covered under health insurance. It works beautifully. Yeah. So there are a lot of things. Yeah. Many other insurance also. So again, you have to come up with ideas how to do that. And when you talk about insurance, it has to be sustainable. It's not a charity. So you have to calculate both risks and all factors considered that it runs with its own money.
Thank you. Over here.
My name is Dennis Doherty. I'm from the Anti-Basis campaign in Sydney. The biggest producer of poverty in the world is war and the preparation for war. The Australian government has quarantined our military budget from any cuts. In fact, it's going to increase it by 3% till 2018. Will you tell our politicians about that and ask them to do something about that?
I'll do that. I'll be with you.
Okay.
Thank you.
That was very short. Thank you.
My question relates back to the Grameen Bank. In the history of idealistic innovators, there's usually been a very short life expectancy. People have fallen apart into sects and so on. What is it about yours that has made it so successful and self-sustaining and that makes it able to be universal? That, I think, is part of your unique inspiration, and it's not part of the message that you've been giving us. There's something else going on that I think we need to know.
That's a secret.
How are we going to copy you?
No, it works for people. People needed it, but somehow we are convinced by the bankers that it cannot be done. So we never tried it. So somebody, like a crazy guy like me, did it.
But
it worked.
You have a group dynamics going on.
Whatever, all things all things taken together.
Yeah.
Yeah, it works.
I think there's something there that we need to know.
And we're working, as I said, in New York City. Yes. So all things have been revealed here. And it works there too. And we also work in many other countries, including many Latin American countries.
Now, I don't want to let you off the hook yet, because it's not just about the idea, it's about the way the idea is actually being implemented.
Of course, it's very important. It's not the idea.
That's the most important
Absolutely.
element.
That's what we call the methodology. That's why when I was telling you the story, I said we send a guy from Bangladesh, because he understands the methodology. If I hired somebody from New York, he understands the concept, but not the methodology. So he will mess it up. But so we said, you go there and you run it as you run it in Bangladesh. Don't get worried about it. This is the United States, this is New York City, these people speak different languages. All these things is on the superficial.
I've read a couple of your books, but your methodology isn't in there.
I thought we were trying to promote it, not restrict it. So
thank you.
Come and work with us for a while. So we'll
Hi. As a young person working in the microfinance sector, I was really, impressed by the whole idea of social business. My question to you is, as a young person, how do I go about identifying worthy social businesses and getting investor capital?
Yeah, it's very easy. I always do easy thing. I'm not a guy who complicates things. First, you list the problems that you see around you. You don't like it, so you list them. Say, for example, people being on welfare. You don't like it. Put it in there. I don't like that. People being unemployed, remaining unemployed. I don't like that. I put it there. People being any type of those problems that you see. Smoking or drinking, alcoholism. Okay, put alcoholism. Pick one. And then think, what kind of business I can create as a social business so that I can take 5 of these people out of the problem they're facing. So that in my business, all I do is to solve their problem. For example, I want to create jobs for 5 people. These are unemployed people. So I have to create 5 jobs. I can think of many alternatives how to create 5 jobs. But why don't the conventional business come and do that? Why do I have to do it? Because in conventional system, in conventional businesses, they have to first think, when I do this business, do I make at least 25% return on my investment? If I don't get minimum of 25% return on investment, I will not go there. But I'm a social business person. I don't care whether I get 25% or not, because I'm not getting a penny out of it, because that's not my intention. My intention is to create 5 jobs for people and a self-sustaining business. So I create a corner pizzeria. We sell pizza here. And all it does, it sustains itself, it has a good, decent income for them, and they're happy, 5 people working there. And it makes only 1% return on investment, which stays with the company, because I don't want to take that money. So I can create that. What a profit-making company cannot do, I can do. So why don't you go ahead and do it and show that it can be done? If you do this for 5 people, I'm sure your neighbor will say, I can do that to another 5. I can take care of another 5. So we have designed something which will take care of all the unemployed people. Very soon, you won't find anybody working for pizzeria because nobody is there. So that's the way it is done. You figure it out. I just gave an example. You have much better example than that. But pick it up, what it is. I was asked in Japan, same kind of situation. I'm talking to students, and I said, I just learned from my friends in Japan that the suicide rate is very high in Japan. They said 30,000 people commit suicide every year. And then they said, this is an official figure. Unofficially, it will be double than that. I said, my God, even if it's 30,000, this is 100 people committing suicide every day. I said, what kind of society is this when people with the second largest economy in the world, where 100 people committing suicide every year, we don't know what to do with it? Then one student asked me, can we do social business for that? I said, of course we can do social business for that. It's a question of just designing it. So I took time to elaborate at the first reaction what I had. I said, this is how I will design a social business. But this is my first thought. Then I have to learn why people commit suicide, how we address that issue, and so on. It's a question of bringing your creativity, that's all. Then once you find it, you found you saved lives. If I can save one life out of 100, I bring it down to 99, this is a great achievement. I have at least saved one per day. This is a fantastic thing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just a follow-up question on social businesses. So you were talking about your business only recovers your costs. What happens when you want to expand on a bigger scale? You need to replace your plant equipment, you need to buy new plant equipment.
Sure.
You've given a solution in terms of having a profitable business on the side, but why not just make your social business profitable? Then you don't need to have two businesses.
Yeah. I'm glad you asked that question. I should have clarified it. I was giving the limits where you can stop. It's a zero return on investment. Still, I can do business. I didn't say that every social business has to make zero profit. That's not what I said. In social business, company makes money, whatever money they can make. But investors, the owners, don't take that money as a profit. So that's the distinction. Making profit is fine, because this will be plowed back, this will for expansion, improvement, and everything that you said. So available. I can add that part. But nobody takes it for personal benefit, because this is based on selflessness. That is the focus of the whole thing. I do this business not for in any way personally benefiting from it. I do it for solving the problem, whether it's a problem of suicide or problem of malnutrition or whether a problem of hookworm. This is what I do it for. But the company can make profit. Profit will be plowed back, profit will be done. And also, if you need money, where the money will be coming from, I go to the bank. It's a company. So I have all the records, then say, okay, that's a good company, I will invest in your, I'll give you a loan, I'll take a loan, I'll do that. And there'll be a series of other financing institutions which will come up, because now for profit-making companies, there are a series of hedge funds and other things, and angel capital and so on and so forth. Similarly will be social business. Now social business funds are coming up, where you'll have a fund only dedicated to invest in social business only. It's exclusive. Once you create something, it's recognized, then you have parallel everything. Like you'll be having a social stock market, so that you can enlist all the social businesses in the stock market, so that you can go and put your money into the social business that you like. That's your investment. It's possible. Because you won't find it in the existing stock market, because the existing stock market is all about making money. So I don't want to go there, I don't want to make money, I want to go to the social business. So this is where I go. So I have a choice where my money goes, whether I should go and invest in a profit-making company or I do it in a social business company. This is my choice.
We go to the next question. I want to say, Professor Yunus, last night we talked at some length about your notion of businesses investing in a social business, investing money in a social business, and when it becomes profitable, that they then have the right to take their initial capital back,
Sure.
but not take any profits.
Sure. That's right, yeah. In social business, another dimension which I may not have mentioned, that in social business, your investment amount you get back over time, but nothing more than that. You do, because the purpose is to solve the problem. So you get your money back, you still own the company, and the company is dedicated to solving the problem that you designed the company for.
Yes.
Professor, my name is Mark. I'm a director of Sydney Credit Union, which is a kind of social business, if you like, a credit union. And I recently completed the basic training course with Grameen in Rajshahi and met you in a nanosecond in Dhaka. A very enjoyable nanosecond, I might say. But, and I'm very interested in how we can excite people here about applying microcredit in our communities, because sure. I perceive there's a culture of denial around poverty and the role credit could play in alleviation is poorly understood here. And the example of the Jackson Heights program is exciting. And I also understand that there's a program that's just started in Glasgow. And I'm wondering how that's going and
Which one is that?
In Glasgow in Scotland.
Glasgow, Scotland, yeah.
So,
yes, indeed.
And I'm wondering if you could share your insights on that and
yeah.
what it might teach us in Australia in terms
sure.
of getting something started here.
Yeah, thank you. It's possible. There are lots of people in Australia who are not eligible to take a loan from a conventional bank. For them, you need this alternative banking, which doesn't need collateral, doesn't need all those things. So it's a question of doing it. It's a question, somebody has to stand up and say, okay, I'll do it. So that, as simple as that. On Glasgow, what happened, I was invited to the university to give an honorary degree, as you did for me also. So I did that, and they became very interested in the whole concept of social business, microcredit and everything. And they said, we have a lot of problem in Glasgow City itself. I said, what are the problems? So the first problem that we are really, really worried about, we have thousands of families in Glasgow City alone who are on third generation unemployment. In 3 generations, they have never seen employment in their lives. Yeah. So we tried, university people, the Vice Chancellor was explaining to me, we tried to bring these young people from the third generation to give them some training so that they can start jobs. And we were very enthusiastic to make sure that they get good jobs. And we found them good jobs. They stayed there for 3 months, some 6 months, and then disappear again, go back. So how do we address this issue? Is there some kind of social business possible? I said, of course it's possible. So they said, we'll be very happy to start a social business. And out of that came the idea of Grameen Creative Lab. So they have done 2 things, created a Grameen Creative Lab, so that this discussion, ongoing dialogue goes on with us and the students and the faculty and the business community, how to design, how to implement for this particular cause and other things, in designing and implementing. And then they created a position of a chair for social business. So the chair of social business has been already hired, it is advertised, and finally found someone, put it there. So that it becomes an ongoing thing within the university. And they invited to create Grameen Scotland, like Grameen America. So we are just about to start that program. This is a microfinance program. It's Grameen America. And we'll send somebody from Bangladesh to start all over again, like we did in New York. Similar way it will be done. Once it gets going, then local people will continue to expand and take it over. So it's not as complicated as it looks. All it needs is somebody's decision that let's go ahead and do it. And use the creative power of people to do that kind of thing. We even discussed what kind of social business will attract the young people who refuse to do the jobs in the thing. I said, look, jobs is a kind of routine thing. These kids are not used to routine thing. So they don't want to be 10 o'clock, 5 o'clock kind of people that do something. So one idea that we had, I said, we'll have to come and talk to them. One idea is to create companies. Like I asked, what do? They say, oh, they sing, they spend time in music or sports. I said, that's a good idea. We're going to start a sports company. Because they like sports, so that could be their company. They will organize things in sports and things, and they'll provide their own employment within the company itself. And we'll say or a music company, rock performances and so on. So many ideas we can try out. Something will work, something will not work. But we'll keep on trying until they feel happy about it and can start doing things in that way. They have to enjoy their life rather than you come and you work. We never work because government gives us the money. I said, if I was in Glasgow and if I was one of those young people, I'd be suing the government for taking away my right to be living on my own way because you crippled me by putting all this money. And now I cannot function. And you blame me for that. I'm not to be blamed. You are to be blamed. So this is it. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, now this is going to have to be our last question. No pressure, but make it a good one. And those of you, I don't want to disappoint those of you that still would like to ask a question. So when we wrap up, please come to the stage and speak to Professor Yunus.
Dr. Yunus, it's a great honor to see you and hear you as an economics student. You're amazing. But you have created a bank, and it's in reality, it's a pretty small bank compared to Citigroup, Deutsche Bank, which are huge. And how do we get, as individuals, as shareholders, how do we get the elephants to realize that the ants are worth investing in? How do we activate the capitalist economy, which is so good at doing everything except the things that count? How do we get them to realize that people are worth investing in?
Absolutely, yeah. That's the whole idea of... yeah. That's what I was trying to bring, a framework where social businesses can address these people problems and create a business, because we don't want to make money for everything. We have lots of things to be done, so we would like to use our talents in doing that, so that every child, as they grow up, they will learn that there are two kinds of business in the world, and I have to figure out which business that I should go into, or which business that I should be working for. And they will have a choice, whether they would go in a profit-making business and work for them, or they will start a social business, or work for a social business, or do both. Sometime in life do this, and sometime in life do this. So there will be a lot more options to do that, which option doesn't exist today. So we are kind of repeating ourselves in a very narrow path. We cannot do anything else. So what you said is possible. We should widen this. And all the time I'm insisting any single individual can do that. It's not something that we have to march up and down the street to get it done. It's me who will be doing it. So I sit down and design something, and then find a partner. If I don't have the money, I find the partner, or get money from my friends. Let's try this out, if it works. If it works, we found a beautiful thing. Then all I have to do is to repeat this, to address those problems. So microcredit is the same way, or any other of the problem, or social business that I talked about. I just gave some examples. There are innumerable ways you can do that, innumerable problems around us that we can address those things. All we have to do, we have to be creative for that. That's all. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, I'd just like to say thank you to Professor Yunus. Thank you for your generosity, for your inspiration, and for your determination. And I hope that your visit to Australia results in some of that big business writing the checks and putting their skills and their expertise into social business ventures. And thank you all very much for coming.
Thank you. Okay, thanks a lot. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Wow. Thank you.